Hello friends, this is Olga, mature medical student from Ukraine. And I want to show you today the star. She was very active and wanted to communicate with me just few minutes before, and now she is getting calm. Anyway, I want to show you her. This is Molly. Now she is a bit like sleepy because she was sleeping. And in this video, I want to tell you about my life as a 6-year medical student. And I want to tell you about some news from Ukraine and how is my life in Italy as a Ukrainian refugee. Um, so the First of all, that's my impression as a 6-year medical student in Ukraine, because I don't know how it happens in other countries. It's kind of all group mates, I think. We are waiting for the end of the 6th year. We are waiting to graduate from university. And it's kind of like a bit boring and people are tired and we still have some lessons, but I think people, they're less less concentrated on lessons and more concentrated to prepare themselves to the step 2. Croc 2 is a very important exam. I told you, I think in some videos some years before, that it was Croc 1, so step 1 after 3rd year, and now at the 6th year we have the step 2. And it's very important actually, and even more important than the marks for each cycle, for each discipline we are learning during this year, because now we changed like our system, like how to evaluate the people, students who are who are close, yes, to graduation, and who are graduating from universities. A system is changed. So before, the most important was to have the higher average mark of diploma. I mean, it's like a average mark for all subjects you had passed during these 6 years. But now the value of this average mark is less important, and also we have like a formula for the rankings of students, and the value of these exams, step 1 and step 2, especially step 2, is higher, so they are kind of more important. So students now think that like marks in general, they are less important now than the mark for step 2 exam. So all people, they trying to prepare during their free time to step 2. And because also I think for during 5 years everybody knows approximately their average mark, and maybe for this some few months there will be not big changes. I mean, if you will have a bit less uh, not perfect but just good marks or something, the average mark will be not that changing much. I mean, it will be kind of the same, and if it's not that influences on the final ranking, I mean, who cares? I mean, it's not that important. But the step 2 is important, not just because the value, but because if you will not pass it, and there is like a one attempt and the second attempt, so like 2 times you can try to pass the step 2, and if you cannot pass it, you have to repeat once more the 6th year. So the student will have to return on the beginning of the 6th year and repeat it, and it's loss of time. I mean, 1 more year and loss of money, because usually this year you have to pay. We have like students who do not pay for the study and the students who pays. But if you cannot pass this step 2, in any case you will have to pay. So it's also the lose of money, and that's why students more concentrated on that preparation for the step 2. And we have actually in our group some people who didn't pass the step 2, so they studying now with us second time the 6th year. So I mean, it's possible. And what I also can say, that now I'm really completely tired. I'm so exhausted actually, and you see that my videos on my channel, they are not very often, just because I have no time to make them. And honestly, I don't know when I will prepare normally for this step 2, because there is a lot of work, and in Italy people, they're living in their own country, their own like peaceful normal world. And I think that now the news about Ukraine, the war, they are not that like they are not highlighted well, and people even ask me, but there is still some war or everything is fine? So people think that the war is stopped, but in reality the war is even getting worse. And when I'm telling that no, it's didn't, the war is still what is our reality in Ukraine, and it's even worse. People just try to like distract from this, and so the problems for Ukrainians as a refugees, they are now not that like important, I think. So I have to maintain this how to say, the rhythm of life, yeah, here, and be the person who can work somewhere and gain money. So it's kind of very, very not easy. And yeah, also I want to tell you about the situation in Ukraine, what happens, because if the people in the world, they're like kind of forgetting about Ukraine, I have like feeling that I have to just summarize, remind what is happens now. So now it's really very hard winter, and just at the end of November the heating season started. So before, people were suffering from cold in their flats, and a lot of representatives of the how to say systems, the how to say general heating systems that responsible for heating cities. They are saying, these representatives, that Ukrainians who are still in Ukraine, who are living in cities, they have to think in case to find some, I don't know, some way to go somewhere in countryside. Maybe they have some small summer houses, or maybe they have real relatives in some village, and maybe these relatives have some oven like that can heat this house by wood, by coal. So you have to think about how to survive during this winter, and how to get warm during this winter, because you cannot count 100% that there will be heating in your apartment if you just a citizen, you know, some big city like Kiev, for example. And now Russians, they are concentrated to destroy the electrical station that they are serving to deliver and create energy and deliver it to each apartment. And also there are some even city in Poltava region, if I'm not mistaken, that now is almost all, it's like not a city but town, almost all without electricity. And also in Kiev, in Dnipro, in other big cities, people do not have electricity for 4 or 5 hours every day. So there are like turns, for example, 9 turns or 5 turns, and each turn, each like some districts of city of Kiev, they are getting, for example, this hours electricity, then they stopping, and for second group, for second turn, they're turning off the electricity for some hours, then the hours are finished, so for third group, for third turn. And so people like these districts of Kiev, is they are staying in turn to get some electricity, to load some power banks, some electrical station, to wash something, to wash themselves, to, I don't know, to make something that demands electricity very fastly during these some hours. And you see that in winter it's not that easy. Also, now Russians, they started to destroy the and attack some atomic electrostations, not just the points, you know, the power plants that they deliver, they stabilize and deliver and spreads electricity, but exactly the atomic electrostations, and it's a real danger for Ukraine. And also Russians started now destroy the trains, even trains that are moving, and also the stations where trains staying, I don't know, for repair, for just hours, they are not working. We call it depot. So Russians, they started to destroy the transport system of Ukraine, and it all happens in winter. And you see that in Ukraine, winter is more severe and strong than in Italy. So it's really dangerous for people's life, and it's very hard to survive. So the war in Ukraine is not over, and it's getting even worse to survive for Ukrainians. But seems in Europe, like people, they kind of started to forget about it, and I'm not feeling that what support was before, and now it's getting less and less, and it's very sad for me. I mean, that we are staying like one by one with Russia. I don't know. I hope it's not. At least the government, for example, in Italy, supports Ukraine, yes, and it's very good. I mean, it's really, really important. I can imagine how many efforts Ukrainian ambassadors and politicians and presidents make to get this support, to maintain this support. But anyway, in Italy, for for me, it's kind of people so still oriented, like kind of on USSR, on Russia. So I'm getting even scared sometimes how people like you know, they are, how to say, uh, oriented on Russia sometimes, maybe because I'm communicated with the people like elder generation, like teachers, I told you in school, but I think they are not very old, they are like middle aged. But anyway, it's still some his memory about USSR in Italy, and so I'm scared about it, honestly. It's so strange for me, like for example, I was hearing here so often that my name is a Russian name. That's but if you're telling that you are from Ukraine, in Italy, people immediately started to ask you something about Russia, about Russian language, about Russia, about something about Russia. But I mean, if we will even not talk about what do is Russia in Ukraine. I mean, I was raised during independent Ukraine, and I don't know much about Russia. I mean, Russia is different country for me, and we are not asking Italians about France, for example. I'm just hypothesizing. Yes, when we see them, we understand it's different country, but in Italy is still like this gap. So I think that they really don't know much about Ukraine, and the Russian narratives, propaganda is really very strong here, unfortunately. So this is I'm feeling even obligation sometimes to explain to Italians that we are different country. Maybe they don't know still. And also I see in the same time that not all are like that. Of course, we have some people that are support us, but in the same time, yeah, for me, that in Italy people still don't know much about Ukraine. It's kind of sad, because I can imagine that maybe people just don't interested in some countries, like culture. For example, me, maybe I find some interesting countries and cultures, one country is more and other less, and I cannot make someone cannot make me love some, certain country, yeah. But at least to know in general, to be educated, considered as educated and updated person, I think it's really necessary. So in Italy, some people, they are still remember the USSR times, and they still not distinguish that Ukraine, it's not Russia, and they consider it Slavic languages as Russian languages. So basically, the family of languages for them, it's like a family of one language, like that prevails, which is not true. So for me, it's if I'm returning to that fact that the government of Italy supports Ukraine, it's really huge job that our ambassadors did, politicians did, to make them understand that Ukraine is independent country and Ukraine is different from Russia. So it's like kind of miracle for me after what I had been hearing sometimes here in Italy. Of course, there are people that updated and they're supporting Ukraine, but now I feel that interest and news about war in Ukraine are less and less noticeable, and people don't following and don't know about it much. But as you understood what I told you, that the situation in Ukraine is getting worse. And I don't know what will be in the next year, because I think that for 1 year, this kind of special permits for Ukrainians will be will like over, and there will be no extension. And I don't know what will be in this case, because in Ukraine, as I told you, the situation is not better. Um, so I have a lot of questions, and I still don't know what will be in future. I think that when I when I applied for this specialty, I had this feeling that I can count everything I have. I can elaborate, think about all factors, and I can manage my destiny. I can manage my future, at least nearest future. And if I will be concentrated, and if I will work a lot, and if I will not move in other directions, so I will go to my goal, yes, I can do it and nothing can happen. But you see that happens COVID, like the pandemics, then this war, which is which makes the future, even nearest future, my personally and my group mates, is not certain. And also the future of Ukrainian refugees in Europe and the refugees that can come, you know, from Ukraine, new people, because the situation is not getting better. So obviously that there will be new refugees in Europe. So I don't know how it will be in the next year. So yeah, I have kind of like a very long video, but since I'm not having much time now to make you know, videos every day, I would like to speak up and to make this in particular video longer and more you know, how to say, the reach for different information and opinion, which is my opinion. I don't know, maybe you have some other impressions. If you want, you can share in the comments. I would like to read that. Thank you for your presence here, that you had been listening me for this time, and see you in the next my video. You're always welcome on my channel. Bye bye.